Welcome. Today we step into a dark chapter of history.
You were not born in Rome, and not among marble. You were born where the ground is hard and every loaf is counted, where your father smells like sweat, leather, and old wool, where your mother knows how to stay silent when the pot is empty. You do not know the word empire yet, but you already know something else. The strong eat first, and the weak wait. In winter, the smoke from the hearth burns your eyes. In summer, the dust sticks to your legs. You grow up among mule cries, heavy hands, and the constant feeling that life is a debt someone will start collecting from you very early. You do not play at heroes. From childhood, you carry water, gather dung, mend fences, and learn not to complain when the skin on your palms splits open. You are beaten not out of hatred, but out of order. That is just how things work here. If you drop a sack, you are beaten. If you answer back to an elder, you are beaten. If you move too slowly, you are beaten. By the time you are 10, you already understand one simple truth. Pain is not discussed. You wait it out with your teeth clenched until it becomes part of you, like bone or scar. In the evenings, you listen to soldiers passing through the settlement. Their cloaks are wet from rain. Their sandals are caked with mud. Their faces are gray with fatigue. But they have something you do not: iron, pay, and a place in the line. They smell not of poverty, but of vinegar, leather oil, campfire smoke, and faraway roads. One of them shows you a dented helmet. Another laughs through a missing tooth. They do not look like gods. They look like men who have simply gotten better at surviving than everyone else. That leaves more of a mark on you than any story ever could. By 14, you are already taller than your mother and nearly as broad as your father. The harvest fails again. The tax is still the same. People in the house speak in short sentences because longer ones do not fill the grain jar. Your father does not beg. One day he simply puts a piece of stale bread in front of you and says the army feeds a man better. He does not look you in the eyes. This is not about honor. It is about the fact that the family cannot carry one more mouth. You understand at once. In that moment, your life has already started leaving home, even though you are still sitting at the table. When you leave, the morning is cold and damp. Clay clings to your soles. Your mother gives you a small bag with bread and dried onion. Your father gives you an old knife, better suited for rope than for fighting. No one says anything beautiful. Beautiful words do not protect you from hunger, cold, or a centurion's staff. You walk out with other boys, thin, quiet, smelling of fear. One has a sick cough. Another is already missing 2 toes. The empire does not choose the best. It chooses those who can still stand. At the camp, the first thing they take from you is your old walk, your old voice, and your old name. Not completely, but enough. Here you are no one's son, no one's neighbor, no village boy from the fields. Here you are a body that will be broken down and built again. They cut your hair almost to the scalp. They hand you a rough tunic, a belt, sandals, and the look veterans give new men when they size them up. How long will he last? When will he break? How soon will he start whining on the 3rd march? The air in the barracks is thick with sweat, damp leather, and old smoke. At night, someone cries quietly into the straw. In the morning, he is the first one beaten.
You learn to march until your feet become one long blister. You learn to hold formation while your shoulders burn under the shield. You learn to dig a ditch faster than you have ever eaten a meal. A legionary is not just a sword. He is a spade, a hammer, a stake, a cooking pot, a load on his back, and an endless command: more. Your instructor says a soldier who cannot build a camp is already half dead. At first, you do not believe him. Then you see what happens to the men who botch the fortifications. They are beaten until one wets himself and another passes out. After that, you dig deeper. The weapons are heavy, and that is not an accident. The wooden training sword weighs more than the real one. The shield rubs your neck and shoulder raw. You stab a post again and again until your arms shake so badly you can barely hold your bowl at supper. They teach you the same rules over and over. Do not slash for show, stab short. Do not act like a hero, hold the line. Do not chase glory, obey the signal. Rome does not love passion, Rome loves order. They beat that into your muscles because one day there will be no time to think. Only what sits deeper than thought will remain. The first blood you see is not in battle, but on the drill ground. One recruit turns too slowly. A decanus smashes him across the face with a staff. The crack is short and businesslike. Blood spills into the dust. Nobody rushes to help. If you move without orders, you will end up beside him. The boy gets back up with teeth missing and keeps formation, choking on the taste of iron in his mouth. That is when you finally understand. The Legion uses fear as a tool. Nothing is softened here. Everything is beaten into shape until men start moving almost alike, like parts in one machine made of flesh, leather, and iron. The years of training do not feel like a rise, they feel like a long fever. You become harder, but not happier. You learn to sleep in the rain, to eat what was moving yesterday, to carry a pack as if it is part of your spine, to clean belts, helmets, buckles, and weapons better than you clean your own body. You learn the smell of vinegar water in a flask, the creak of wet leather, the sound of 1,000 sandals at dawn. A centurion's shout no longer scares you. That is a good sign and a bad one. It means you are getting used not to strength, but to obedience. Then the order comes. Britain, the edge of the world, a land of rain, fog, and stubborn tribes that do not bow as easily as men in distant offices would like. You march to the sea. The ship reeks of wet timber, vomit, and tar. Waves slam the hull like rams. Many men throw up at once. You do too. Salt water sticks to your lips, and your clothes never fully dry. At night, you lie cramped among the others, listening to the hull groan, and you do not think about glory. You think about how easily a man can vanish between two blows of the sea. When the coast of Britain appears through the grey mist, it does not look like the land of conquerors. It looks wet, cold, and hostile. The sky hangs low. The wind cuts at your face. The mud is black. Even the grass looks soaked through. Your fort stands near the northern frontier, where the empire does not end with a line on a map, but with a wall, a ditch, towers, and constant waiting. The stone of the wall stays cold even in daylight. The towers smell of damp, soot, and wet wool. Here you learn another truth. Rome is vast, but its edge is not triumph. It is a tired man in the wind holding a spear. You are assigned to a garrison on the wall. The day begins before light. Inspection, roll call, guard duty, training, repairs, patrol, weapon cleaning, food, guard duty again.
Everything repeats with such precision that time stops flowing and starts being worn away. You eat porridge, bread, cheese, sometimes salted meat. You drink sour wine mixed with water or vinegar water. You sleep on a hard bunk under a rough blanket in air that tastes of wet ash. Beyond the wall, the wind howls. Sometimes it feels as if the land on the other side wants to crawl into the barracks and strangle you in your sleep. You learn Britain not from maps, but from what it does to your body. The constant damp, the wet edge of your cloak that never dries, the cold that gets not just under your clothes, but into your joints, bogs that swallow your feet to the ankle, smoke from green wood that chokes more than it warms. Here, iron rusts faster than you can clean it. Leather cracks, lips split in the wind. A cough becomes part of life. The older men say if you want to know the North, do not look at the hills. Look at the veteran's cough. The whole land is in it. The locals look at you in different ways. Some trade, smiling without trust, bringing hides, cheese, ale, and coarse pottery. Others turn away or spit into the mud when you pass. You do not understand their words, but you understand their eyes. There is no awe for Rome in them, only memory of burned homes, taken taxes, and bodies hung up as warnings. Sometimes boys from a village are brought into the fort to work. They are thin, quick, and watchful. You see your old self in one of them and look away at once. The feeling is unpleasant, too human. In time, your work becomes more than standing guard. You build and repair. Always build and repair. A tower has rotted from the rain, the gate has warped, a ditch has collapsed, the road needs fresh stone, the stable needs bracing, the storehouse must be dried out. Rome stands not just on orders, but on endless labor done by hands no one will remember. You haul stone, mix lime, set stakes, and drag beams until your shoulders go numb. From the outside, the empire looks like power. From the inside, it looks like thousands of tired backs spending each day making sure the wall does not fall. The first serious clash comes not like glory, but like filthy confusion at dawn. The fog is so thick the towers vanish halfway into it. Then spears fly out of the white wetness. One slams into the gate, another punches into a horse's neck. The horse screams almost like a man and collapses, snapping its leg under itself. The signal brings the whole garrison running. You rush out with a piece of bread still in your mouth. Your heart pounds so hard it drowns out the orders. Shapes move beyond the ditch. Not an army. Raiders. That changes nothing. One spear is enough to kill you. You stand in line, shield against shield, and for the first time you hear a blow land on your shield and feel it in your bones instead of your ears. The enemy shouts something wild and short. One of your men steps too far forward too early and takes a spear in the face. Everything happens at once. Blood, breath steaming, wet earth, someone's boot on someone's hand. You do not fight beautifully. You do what you were taught. Step, thrust, back, shield up, hold the line. Your blade slides into soft resistance beneath ribs. You feel no triumph, only disgust and heat rising into your gut. The man in front of you folds not like an enemy, but like wet cloth. After the fight, the ground by the wall looks pathetic, not heroic. A few bodies in the mud, a broken shaft, blood mixed with rainwater, a wounded horse put down because otherwise it will suffer until night. Your dead comrade lies there with his mouth open, as if he is still trying to
breathe. The centurion gives no speech. He just orders the bodies cleared, the weapons collected, the shields repaired, and the watch doubled. You understand something important. The battle ended for the officers the moment the threat was pushed back. For you, it will keep going much longer. That night, you still feel the blade passing through flesh. Death in the garrison comes more often from small, humiliating things than from grand attacks. One man falls from the wet wall and breaks his neck. Another rots from an infected leg after a scratch. A third simply does not wake in winter, lungs clogged, lips blue. There is dysentery, there are rotten teeth, there is fever that burns a man through in 3 days. There are rats in the stores and lice in every seam. There is the constant smell of the latrine, thick and warm even in cold weather. You begin to understand that a legionary fights the damp, exhaustion, and his own body more often than he fights barbarians. The years pass and you become the kind of man you once feared, a veteran with a hard face, few words, and eyes that spot weakness in a recruit at once. You can tell from the way a man walks who will rub his feet raw by the next march, from his cough who will not last the winter, from the way he cleans his belt whether he will survive or one day get beaten for negligence at the worst moment. You are not kinder now, just tougher. Sometimes that disgusts you, but the North teaches fast. A soft man either breaks or makes the whole line easier to break. One day they bring in a captured young man from a northern tribe. His lip is split, his hands are bound, and old scars cross his shoulders. He looks at you as if you were in the cage, not him. You bring him water because you were ordered to. He drinks greedily, then lifts his head and looks straight into your face. There is no pleading in his eyes, only tired contempt. Suddenly, you understand something ugly. On the other side of the wall live not monsters and not shadows, just men like you, only without your discipline and your belts. That makes service heavier, not lighter. A kind of temporary success comes slowly and almost without you noticing. You are trusted more, you lead a watch shift, you get a share of loot after a successful raid. Officers remember your name. You manage to save a few coins, get a good knife, a warmer cloak, and the rare privilege of sometimes sitting closer to the fire. In the settlement by the wall, a Briton woman smiles at you once or twice without fear. You even begin to think maybe you can outlast the North, finish your years, and leave with something that almost resembles a life. That is usually the point when fate starts sharpening its knife. Winter arrives early and mean. First rain, then wet snow, then wind sharp enough to strip skin from your face. Blankets in the barracks grow damp. Firewood smokes. Grain stores spoil. Meat stinks before it can be eaten. One mule dies in the stable, then another. Men on the wall stomp their feet, not out of impatience, but to keep feeling in them. You start coughing, at first a little, then deeper. At night, the pain sits in your chest like a stone. In the morning, you still stand in line. There is nothing else to do here. In spring, you are sent north of the wall on a punitive march. A tribe has been cutting patrols and hitting supply wagons too often. You move through boggy ground where the sky and mud are nearly the same color. You find the village at dawn. Dogs are killed first, so they do not raise the alarm. Then the torches, then the screaming. You see a woman with a child running for the woods. You see an old man driven face first into the mud with a shield. You
See a grain shed catch fire all at once, as if it had been waiting for this. You were ordered to show strength. You show it. But strength smells nothing like victory. It smells of singed wool, wet timber, and meat. When you return, your boots are heavy with mud, and inside you is something worse than mud. The centurion is pleased. The wagons will travel more safely now. Command likes order. But at night you do not dream of the fight by the wall. You dream of the child by the burning fence. You try to tell yourself this is duty, order, frontier, empire. All true, all by the rules, and still something inside you begins to corrode. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a little more each time you clean your weapon and see your own face in the metal, older and leaner than before. Your body starts sending the bill as well. The old hit to your knee aches every time it rains. The shoulder you once dislocated while repairing a tower now clicks when you thrust too hard. 2 teeth have gone loose. The cough never fully leaves, even in summer. You are still stronger than most recruits, but you know what that strength is built from now. Wear, inflammation, lack of sleep, dozens of small injuries never truly treated. A legionary is not allowed the luxury of growing old slowly. He is either still useful in the line or he is already a burden. You catch yourself thinking more and more often that the distance between those 2 states will be very short. Then betrayal comes, plain and cheap, not out of legend. Some pay goes missing,
Someone is cutting purses during the watch. Suspicion falls on the whole barracks block. Searches begin, shouting, beatings, mutual hatred. You are almost sure who is doing it because you have seen one man get suddenly freer with wine and dice, but you cannot prove it. A week later, he is found behind the latrine with his throat cut. Nobody saw anything. Nobody heard anything. The matter is closed quickly. On the frontier, justice is not truth. It is whatever patches the hole in order fastest. After that, the barracks no longer feels like brotherhood. It is only men packed together by one wall, one fear, and one set of rules. Today you share a pot. Tomorrow one of them might leave you to die if that feels safer. You knew that before in your head. Now you know it in your skin. You become more careful with speech, food, drink, and sleep. You keep your purse closer to your body, your knife even closer, even among your own. The empire promised you order. What it really gave you was a shape for chaos and taught you how to live inside it without asking too many questions. Then summer brings a larger alarm. Several northern war bands have joined together and are hitting different parts of the frontier. This is not a raid now, it is a test. The towers send up smoke and fire signals. Reserves are pushed toward the gates. The air is thick with commands, harness creaks, and iron striking iron. You stand in line again, not as a boy this time, but as a man who knows too well what every mistake costs. Rain lashes your eyes, the ground slips under your feet. Somewhere to your left, the wounded are already screaming. You feel the fear again, but now it is not hot. It is cold, sharp, and very clear. The clash lasts longer than it should. The enemy comes in waves, using the fog and folds of the ground. Some try the wall with hooks, others pound at the gates. Your archers are firing almost blind. One volley from your own side catches your own men. Everything mixes into a wet gray hell where men slip in mud, yell, fall, get up, lose weapons, strike with fists, teeth, and shafts. You throw your shield over a young recruit who freezes, and in the same moment something heavy slams into your side. Not straight into the armor, lower, where the protection is weaker. The pain arrives like a bar of fire being rammed under your ribs. You stay standing for a moment, out of habit, out of stubbornness, out of the animal refusal to fall. The shield grows heavier. Your right arm starts to go numb. You manage one more thrust, then half a step back. Someone is yelling at you to hold. Someone else goes face first into the ditch. The world narrows to a few things: the sound of your own breathing, the taste of blood in your mouth, the wet strap in your hand. Then your legs give way. You fall not like a hero, but like a sack of wet wool. The sky above you is white with rain. For 1 second, it feels as if everything has gone quiet. It is not the battle going quiet. It is you leaving the center of it. They drag you away afterward. The infirmary is only warm compared with outside. In truth, it is stifling, thick with blood, vinegar, pus, and scorched cloth. The medic looks at your wound quickly, like a carpenter checking a split plank. The question is not whether it hurts. The question is how likely you are to rot from the inside. They cauterize the edge. You scream and do not recognize your own voice. Then fever, then cold, then fever again. Days become patches of light and shadow. On the next bed, a man cries out for his mother in his sleep. On the far bed, another simply stops breathing during the night and is carried out in the morning like damaged gear. You survive. That is your reward. Not strength, not honor, not some great speech, just the right to keep breathing with a pain in your side that will never fully leave. The wound closes badly. You get up too soon because lying too long is dangerous for your standing and because there is no room in a garrison for the useless.
But you are different now. You limp on long marches. You cannot twist your body the same way anymore. In hard cold, the scar feels as if an iron wedge has been driven into it. They keep you at the fort on lighter duty. In truth, it is a quiet exile for men who are still alive, but already cracked. Now your war is stores, records, gate watch, supervision of laborers, and sometimes teaching recruits how not to die stupidly. You catch yourself speaking in the same voice once used on you. Shield higher, shorter step, cleaner belt, do not sleep on watch, do not play the hero. Once those words sounded like someone else's cruelty. Now they are the only mercy possible here. The truth is simple. Beautiful deaths almost never happen. The real ones are foolish, slow, and very cold. If a hard command can push that kind of death back even by a month, then on this frontier, that counts as kindness. Sometimes you climb the wall alone in the gray hour before dawn. The wind cuts across your scar. The hills below lie dark and still. Beyond them is land never fully conquered. On this side, there is stone, ditch, tower, and men brought from every corner of the empire to freeze for someone else's order. You look north and understand something at last. The frontier doesn't really run along the wall. It runs through every one of you, between the man you were before service and what is left after it, between a person and a function, between memory and obedience. Your last winter comes without ceremony. The cough gets deeper, then blood appears with it. Nights grow longer. Hunger leaves you. You keep losing weight even under wool and leather. Climbing the tower stairs feels like carrying a full marching pack again. The doctor
looks at you too quickly and too calmly. You have seen that look before on other men. It is the look of someone who knows how to count not hope, but days. They do not discharge you beautifully. They do not send you home with wreaths. You simply drift toward the edge of life the way an old shield hangs on the wall, still there, but no longer needed. One night, the frost is especially cruel. The air slices into your lungs. You wake coughing and cannot stop. There is iron in your throat. A dark stain blooms in your palm. Beside you, another soldier sleeps heavily, young, still trusting his body. You sit up, one hand pressed to your bad side, and listen to the wind moving through the cracks. This is what the end of an imperial man looks like, not in triumph, not under trumpets, but in a damp barracks at the edge of the world, where even your death is expected to be quiet enough not to keep the others awake before morning roll call. By dawn, you can barely rise. They move you closer to the fire. Someone gives you water. Someone mutters a prayer in his own way. Someone else looks away. Everyone knows the order of things here. When a man is going, nobody wastes words dragging him back. You breathe in short, ragged pulls. The barracks blurs with your childhood hut, the white fog by the wall, the face of the first man you killed. Everything runs together like mud in rain. At some point, you stop being able to tell the difference between the northern wind and your own breathing. Then even that difference disappears. Your body is carried out with no ceremony, but not without use. The belt is taken. The knife goes back to stores. The cloak, if it is not too worn through, will go to someone else. The coins are counted. Your name is entered into a record. If you are lucky, a message may one day be sent to wherever you came from. If not, you remain just another soldier who died on the northern frontier. You will be burned or buried according to local practice, quickly, before the ground freezes too hard. No loud memory will be built over you. Just one more small gap in the line, and by tomorrow, someone new will already be filling it. And this is your life in numbers, a little more than 30 years alive. nearly half of that under orders. You marched hundreds of miles under weight and mud. You dug more earth than you would have turned in 3 peasant lifetimes. You survived dozens of winter watches, several clashes, 1 serious wound, and more petty sickness and humiliation than anyone could count. You drew pay enough for a knife, a cloak, a little wine, and a short-lived illusion that you were building something for yourself. You lost your home, your health, your softness, your sleep, and the right to be a man instead of a piece of the wall. What did you gain? Better food than in a famine year at home, iron in your hand, a place by the fire when they allowed it, a few comrades, most of whom died before or after you, the skill to endure cold, formation, and fear. What did you lose? Almost everything else. Your youth was spent on marches. Your body was spent on damp and wounds. Your conscience was spent on orders easier to obey than to remember. The empire gave you order, but it took blood, years, and the part of your soul that once could still look at another man's child without feeling guilt. The freedom powerful men like to talk about is rarely a gift. More often, it is simply absent from the lives of those who hold the frontier for someone else's rule. You served the greatest order of your age, but lived as a bolt in a wet, rusting machine. Power always looks grand from a distance and very damp up close. Survival does not always make a man a winner either. Sometimes it only means he died more slowly than the others. You wanted bread, pay, and a place in the world. This was the price. The North took it all.
If you want more dark history, watch the next video.